It does take a little bit.
Yeah, that's not.
Can you hear me? Are we good? Okay. All right. Well,
CPA over there.
okay. We'll just go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the June 2017 school board meeting. I'd like to welcome everyone. We will start with public and board comments. If anyone in the public has a comment on anything pertaining to the agenda, you could step forward and please limit your comments to 2 minutes. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. How about board comments for the music council, please?
I'm sorry, I do have one.
Oh.
I apologize. Under the personnel report for PLC leaders, that should list resignation, not termination, under Lori. I don't know what happened there, but Mrs. Brownell and I were conferring that did not come up at all in conversation. So that should just be reflected resignation on the official minutes.
Okay,
So we'll make sure that gets conveyed, that there'll be one change when consent comes through.
okay, thank you. All right. So shall we move on to the council, music council?
We have not met, but obviously there are a couple things to highlight. Obviously, the choir was the state champion. We talked about that the last time. So again, that's real good news. We are apparently in the market for a couple of choir teachers, and so we look forward with anticipation what you guys get to do. Let's solve that problem. Another opportunity to solve.
Yes. I can tell you quickly, both jobs are posted, and Mr. Hummel has started reaching out to people he knows, and I think by Friday they should have some headway on where they're going with that.
Okay, thank you. Athletic council?
We have not met. Again, changes in the athletic department. The school ended on a real high note with the Mid-State All-Sports Trophy. So there was a big hurdle there. And I think in the spring, they had 12 seniors that were all student athlete, GPA 3.5 or higher. So that was a larger number than I think we've seen in the past. So way to go there. Mr. Doty is coming on board. Look forward to working with you on the athletic council. They've set a pretty high standard here, so expect great things here as we go forward. But look forward to working with you.
Now, we are voting on that tonight, so it's still not. And Mrs. Brownelli wants to vote on that one as well. So.
All right, we'll move on to the legislative council.
We have not met, we do have a policy.
Yeah, the policies that reflect
First reading.
are just first reading, and all of them are legal issues that we had to do anyway, so there really is nothing in there. That's it.
Okay, superintendent strategic task force?
We'll be coming back again in early August to meet and narrowing in on the redefining ready for both career and college. We've had a lot of good conversations, and actually I had a conversation today with Mr. Goad, who's going to be going to the foundation tomorrow with a couple ideas on helping on the career side. So we're getting some good traction there.
Communication committee, we have not met. Dr. Clendenning, do we have any updates?
I do. The website was, framework was delivered. All the logos are in, and he reported to Robin earlier today that I think by Thursday we will have the shell of our new website, and still looking at the August rollout for that.
Okay, great, thank you. Collective bargaining?
We have not met.
Nope.
So,
Okay, all right, Central 9?
Did have a meeting last Thursday that I was not able to attend, so unless Dr. Clendenning has anything, I definitely don't have anything.
Nothing to report.
RDC?
Nothing really new that affects the schools, but there will be a gateway ribbon cutting this Thursday afternoon at 2 at the intersection of King Street and Ferris Drive. So we're making a lot of progress on on all the renovations. We're very happy about that.
Okay, we will move on to the consent agenda.
Move for approval.
Do you have any questions, comments? Okay,
Just
all
a couple of highlights, if I could please.
Sure.
One, we just mentioned, Mr. Regas will be terming at the end of the month, and we are pleased to recommend Mr. Doty to take that new position. And then his replacement will be coming soon. I want to talk about a special call board meeting for both the high school principal and that position for next week. And so we wanted to say thank you to that. And we had a late addition on the retirements. Al Pickett was out all year, and after working with HR and talking to Turf, he was able to retire. And so that happened just the last week of school. So we want to thank Mr. Pickett for his 9 years with us and his service.
Okay. All right, now, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Okay, motion passes. We'll move on to superintendent reports. We'll start with the Johnson County Public Library Spring Update with Ms. Lintner. Hi.
Good evening. I have some handouts for you.
All right.
Report, program guide. Just take one and pass it on. Thanks. Do I stand here? Is there a mic? Okay, great. First, I just want to thank each of you for your fantastic appointments to the board. Kurt Bixler is here tonight, one of our board members you appointed, and Jennifer Briggs-Mann. They're both doing fabulous jobs serving on our library board, so thank you for that. What I've given you tonight is just a brief overview of what's happening at the library. We have an overview of 2016 where we checked out nearly 1 million items at the library. About 75,000 of those items were digitally accessed, either downloaded magazines, movies, books on audiobooks, that type of thing. We also have training videos through lynda.com that people can access with their library card. And you can see that the bulk of our checkouts, though, still are things that are on our shelves in the library. So we had 426,000 people visit the library. So your appointments to the board are really essential in helping us keep the library moving forward. This Saturday, we just opened our third story walk, which is like a picture book family outdoor nature adventure. We opened that in Trafalgar, and we'll be opening one up in the Whiteland area come August too. So we're really excited to have these outdoor literacy experiences for preschoolers and families and young grade school kids. We're also looking forward to working with all the libraries in our school district to give all the students access to online resources with a special access code. And so we'll be working with the staff here at Franklin Community Schools to do that sometime in 2017 as well. So we're really excited about doing that. We're also launching a author series, and we have some international best-selling authors coming in August, both for children and for adults. So you'll see that outlined in the program guide for the summer. And we just want to encourage you, your families, and all your students to participate in the summer learning program so that they don't experience the summer slide these next couple months. Get them excited about reading and learning. And really, that's all I wanted to share with you tonight. Just maybe once a year, I'll come visit you and let you know what's happening at the library. Do y'all have any questions about the Johnson County Public Library? Okay, well, have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, then we'll move on to the next 10X presentation with Mrs. Paris.
Good evening. I'm going to pass these down. I'd like you to all take one of these. This came out of the grant process, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. There's different ones, so pick which one floats your boat. I was so blessed to be able to apply for this 10X grant. My husband and I have been master gardeners. We're going on our 3rd year, and I love playing in the dirt and gardening. It's good for my soul. What makes me happy, among other things. But when this came along, we were looking at trying to claim back the Northwood courtyard. It kind of fallen into disarray and been neglected, and so we worked on that. And then the 10X grant came up and I thought, how can I use this? So my husband and I went on this journey of lifelong skills of growing gardens together. We rented the camper, went for 7 nights in a 25-foot camper, and we had done this with our grant. Oh, what do you want me to do? Oh, I have to do this? I'm not loud enough? Whew. Oh, okay, sorry. Oh, where was I now? You interrupted my train of thought. Okay, so we took this path we rented the camper in Noblesville and went up and explored 10 gardens in Michigan and Wisconsin. And it was kind of funny. Now, the little red squiggly line, I redid the route as we started going, and I'll explain that in a minute. So it didn't quite make a complete heart, but it was pretty close, so it was kind of fun. We had done the camper, that's what I started to say, when I'd had the Lilly grant and enjoyed it. And so that's what we decided we'd wrap it all up into one to explore. So that's what we did. Now, do I have to click this? Where do I click this here? Okay, there we go. So, whoops, is it not on present mode? Okay, scroll down. Our first stop was Madison, Wisconsin. Oh, and I'll preface this too. I had 230 slides for the Trafalgar Garden, or for the Johnson County Garden thing, and I pared it back, I promise. But you guys flipped through your agenda quick, so I'm going to spend a little more than 5 minutes. This was a journey. Okay, so yeah, I have the mic now. Madison, Wisconsin, Oblick Botanical Gardens was our first stop. It has only been in existence about 20 years, and it was beautiful, very amazing. I'm just going to show you a few pictures that we took. This was one of the projects, this one right here, that we're definitely going to create for the courtyard, and it's putting succulent plants, and I have the base. I got to get Rick motivated, and I haven't found the kaleidoscope yet either to work, a big one. If anybody knows the word big, it's a kaleidoscope, not a kaleidoscope, to show where the plants and kids can look at it and see the colors change, and it's really cool. So we're going to do one of those. This is just some of the pictures of the grounds, and it was amazing that it was only about 20 years old. And then also in Wisconsin, we went to Troy Children's Gardens, our kids' garden. And from here, you see that Leopold bench in the middle. We've made about 12 of those for Northwood. Rick and I did. We haven't painted them yet because they haven't been cured, but they've been utilized a little bit. And there was just some really neat items they had there at Troy Gardens, Kids Gardens. They had a huge compost, teach kids about composting, which was really fascinating. This was a picture of the children's gardens. There was also a huge amount of community gardens there as well. And then they have they do programs with kids, I guess, from Boys and Girls Club and schools that come out and see growing the food and then cooking it, and right there in a live kitchen, which is really interesting. And then also on that day, on the way to the coast, we stopped at Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, where I found this little quarter-acre sensory healing gardens, which was also at a horse therapy place, which was really cool. And it was amazing in just a small, tight area what they packed in there. And the purpose was to just enlighten your senses and heal. And I don't know about you, but nature's really calming to me. So here is just a few of their pictures of the grounds and the things that they did. And we got some more ideas of things we'd like to incorporate in Northwood's courtyard. And, this was just a little spot out by a highway, and look how beautiful it is. We stayed the night at Kohler State Park, Lake Michigan, and that was really pretty there. And then the next morning, our fourth stop was Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Oh my gosh, this was the coolest place ever. And it was definitely backed by a lot of money, but it's a non-for-profit agency, so I was kind of interested in how they did that. Everything was based around a book, and it was just immaculate. Kids were everywhere, and I took pictures of things I thought, oh, this would be cool to put in the courtyard. This would be cool to create, and it was just fascinating. Here's another one of Rick's projects. See, I can talk about him since he's not here. To show kids, I'm pointing here. Can you see where I'm pointing? To show how kids, the roots go deep down into the soil to grow things on top. Those are onions. And to the right there was Peter Rabbit Shack, where kids could go in and try on garden clothes and things and have the books. And then this was also just some of the little items they had in decoration and nature. And they had a beautiful rainbow garden, which was fascinating. And then look what they did with an old school bus. They did the magic school bus there. And if you look there to the right is also another one of those kaleidoscope planters. So again, something I definitely want to create. Then we went on up to Green Bay, Wisconsin and went to Botanical Garden there. Oh, that was beautiful. I love that corn plant there on the right. Here's an overview of one of their sites. And see, I can only show you a few pictures to make it short, but it's amazing. I would love to find a way to have something like this to put in the courtyard, a little wind art, so to speak. They had a master gardener's demonstration garden, which was really interesting and showing different ways to grow things, which would be fun to show kids. Here's the overview of their garden there on the left, and the roses. This is an overview of their children's garden, which was very creative. Just getting kids to enjoy nature.
Since it was a garden tour, did you go see the frozen tundra of Lambeau Field?
No.
No.
No. Okay. All right, 6th stop, Sturgeon Bay. I'm trying to hurry up. Sturgeon Bay, Wisconsin. This was done by the Door County Master Gardeners, which was really neat. And it was just real creative. And again, a small space and very compact. They had a great raised bed gardening there. This is also where I researched and found the Sound Tunnel Garden. And I'll show you a picture about that here in a minute, which was here, but they had taken out the vines. So I don't know whether they were restructuring, but I could see the concept of growing the vines over and covering the tunnel for sound. So that was really beautiful though too. And then we stayed up in Sturgeon Bay area, and then we came back down to Manitowoc, Wisconsin. This west of the Lake Gardens was a very small place right on Michigan that a lady had created because she just loved flowers, and she has since passed, but the foundation maintains it, and it was just amazing, the colors that they put together.
Sound tunnel, did
Uh-huh.
you actually experience it?
No, that's why I said, if you look here, they had taken the vines out. But the structure was there. And so what I imagine they grow clematis or different kinds of vining. So I don't know. We'll get creative with that maybe. But I think it would be really interesting for kids to see that perspective. I'm not even really sure that Northwood has the space for that, but maybe one of the other schools could. I know Needham is working on, I've been talking to the lady there, Master Gardener, and that's working on that project too. So I might suggest they might look at that for them.
Did you ferry over?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm almost there. This is the last stop before. This was just beautiful, beautiful grounds. Not really anything I could do. Now, here you go. We took the SS Badger. Yeah, it's a 4-hour, 60-mile journey across Lake Michigan. That in and itself was very interesting. Here they are. They're parking our camper down in the belly of the ship, and then we kind of hung out in the top, and they had bingo and all kinds of crazy stuff going on. It was fun. Then we got over, and we spent 2 days playing and resting at Sleeping Bear Dunes, which was absolutely beautiful. I climbed the one in the center there. I climbed to the top, wore me out. We saw beautiful sunsets, and that's where many of these are my pictures that I have shared with you. That I took on my camera, on my phone. Then our 8th stop, this was a surprise. We had decided not to go on up where the heart shape went because we were told that the garden at Grand Rapids, Frederick Meyer Garden, was absolutely fantastic. Rick's uncle had told us about that. Plus, our niece and nephew just moved there, so we kind of diverted. Well, we found this place in Traverse City, and this is a historic Barnes Park. Used to be the mental state hospital back in the day when they used to put people in places like that. And they've taken the old barns, and then they are slowly developing a botanical garden there. It's very infancy. They took the structures and planted in the old foundations some beautiful ways. They're going to build a labyrinth. We'd like to go back there and revisit that in a few years to see how it's come along. They also had a huge community garden area as well. I thought this was funny, the beach, that people would come from the community and pay money to have a plot. Then our 9th stop here was the Frederick Meyer Gardens. It was probably the most expensive, that was for sure, and very elaborate. His wife developed this complete children's garden, which I love the sensory garden that they had, and using all the different senses and highlighting it. And I've got other pictures of all the different places that they have. See the hand over there in the corner. And they had beautiful sculpture. Yes, I tried to use that camera, but I could not get it on the slide.
So there's a picture of it. It was really cool. And then we explored their gardens. Frederick Meyer is a collector of sculpture. I think that's probably why it was so expensive to go there. But this was a beautiful horse. That was our probably favorite sculpture. And then they took old bicycle parts and made a thing for the kids in the kids' gardens. And then our last stop was my absolute favorite, was the Michigan State University Children's Garden at East Lansing. It's run by the 4-H extension people there, and it was amazing. That's a peacock. I didn't get a side view of that. And then they did their rainbows painted with the flowers planted. And then this is another area that I'd like to see, definitely a schoolyard that they had created for kids to come in and explore. There's the plate down there in the corner. It shows you the types of foods. And then they had a math garden. I want to copy this one, how to use math in the garden. And then here's a big plate that shows the different types of food growing. I love these. I'm going to do this too, these little bitty frames throughout the garden there for pictures. I also love the crayons markings. And then there's the peanut butter and jelly garden. Kids would love that one. And then here they recycled things. That was pretty fascinating. Yes, I'm going a little bit longer on MSU. And they had this really neat pollinator area that showed the different beehives that bees could use to create honey. And they had all the plants there marked so the kids could explore what kind of plants were good pollinator plants. Beautiful. So why do we do this? Yes, sir.
What's the peanut butter and jelly garden?
Peanuts, and then there's strawberry plants. And you make your peanut butter and your strawberry jam. Get it?
Glad you asked that.
Get that?
I was wondering.
Yeah. I'll give you time for questions at the end. I want to get through these. Okay, so why did we do this? Well, if you look at Northwoods, this was a few years ago. The courtyard wasn't looking so great. And we knew it had potential to be 10 times better. So then I did create Northwood Garden Squad. This was their name, and there is 15 third graders, all girls, signed up this spring, and they were growing and relaxing in nature was their theme. And we planted lettuce and radishes early, and they were so proud. They had picked the radishes, and there's the cabbages we planted. And they are a great group, and they'll continue in the fall. I also had some money left over, so with the blessings from Mr. Mercer, I bought some little items to put in the courtyard and some gazing balls. This rain barrel was donated from the Johnson County Soil Water Management, and Kim Creek helped the kids paint it because that's not my thing. And it was so cool. And then it was displayed at the Green Garden or Earth Day celebration. So you can see things are coming along. We got a new pond. The Hoaglands redid our pond for us. Linda Murray has been fabulous. She's also a master gardener with myself, retired. And Johnny Schaefer, they've assisted with the garden club. And Linda also helped write a grant for Lowe's Improvement to get us some mulch. There's lots of money that still needs to be had. This picture here is from Misty Tinsley and Megan Green, I think, also presented their 10X. That's part of their butterfly garden that's incorporated into the courtyard. And but there's still plenty of work to do. That area is not great. So we've got lots of work to still do, and we'll continue. And if you want to come by 9 to 11 on Tuesday mornings through the summer, we are meeting with the kids that show up. And then when recess comes back around Tuesdays and Thursdays, kids give up a little bit of time to work in the courtyard, and it gives me some peace. So thank you so much for developing this opportunity, and it was a great renewal, and I'd like to try and renew it again. So do some more exploring. Great ideas out there. Beautiful country and real close to home. So questions? Did everybody get a picture? Yes. Those were also, I had lots of different sizes, and I've given those out across the town and with teachers and kids. And
Really fascinating. I'd rather look at these pictures than talk about budget.
well, there you go. Oh, honey, I got 270 slides too. If you
So
need.
she'll come back.
Speaking of budget, Ellen, if you
Yes.
repeat this, I'll likely deny it, but I'm not sure that you're aware. We have money for that courtyard area in a grant that we have tried to spend for literally 15 years.
Oh, let me have it. We need some more mulch. I mean, we really do. We need, they did a lot of that with the Lowe's grant with buying, and I'd love to be able to hire somebody to come in and clean out all those rocks and redo that, because
Could you
that's,
please check with Mrs. Sargent
uh-huh.
and/or Cammie Hoffman
Okay,
and see if we can put some of that money to good use.
well, oh, there's lots of use to do, so that won't be a problem at all, sir. Thank you. And don't deny that because it's on record.
Thank you, Ellen. All right, well, we'll move on to the Get Moving Franklin update. Mrs. Martin?
Okay, so can you hear me? So in March, Joco Fitness came and presented to the board, and we're asking for some funding so we could start a fitness wellness type of initiative. So I would like to thank the board on behalf of FCS. I think what I'm going to share, you're going to be really excited about our new venture. So once we had your approval, we decided to set up a wellness committee, which consisted of Bill Doty, Robin Betts, Krista Bratcher, and Michelle Canary. And we hit the ground running, literally, after March. Yes.
Michelle Bright.
What did I call her? Canary? I meant Bright, Michelle Bright. She used to be Canary. So when we first met, we asked the question, what's the purpose of this? What do we want to accomplish? So the big picture was we wanted to add this benefit to our employees. We want to be the employer of choice at FCS. We want to attract and retain great employees. And ultimately, we want to avoid higher health and insurance costs in the future. So that was the big picture. But we decided to separate into a smaller picture. What do we want to accomplish in the first 6 weeks? So one, we want to show our employees that we're invested in their health and wellness. We want to start creating that culture of wellness. We wanted to identify and resolve any technology, logistic, or operation issues. We wanted feedback, and we also wanted to measure some of the participation. So this is the video that we sent out to all of our employees. You can watch at your own leisure. It's just a short 3-minute kind of to talk about what was coming up. But at the end of the video, we talk about our incentive program, which this is the sheet here. We did kind of a tiered system. Everything had a point value. And social media, we use that to our advantage. So we use the hashtag GetMovingFranklin. And these are just some of the pictures that you could find on Facebook or Twitter, Instagram. So what was offered for the first 6 weeks? Joco Fitness offered 2 classes every week, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. This was kind of an unexpected outcome, but Jazzercise during the month of May does a promotion to get new clients. So they offered all of our employees free Jazzercise. So this was an extra added bonus, and it lined up perfect with our timing. We did a lunch and learn over the importance of sleep. And then now we also have weight rooms available at Custer Baker, the high school, and the middle school, and it's free of charge for our staff. We also offered some great incentives, which included pool passes, shirts, Fitbits, and then we also, at the end, offered the summer discount to Joco Fitness. So this is kind of the fun facts. So in 6 weeks, we had over 500 sign-ins in our weight room. We logged over 32,000 minutes of exercise, which is about 77 school days. And we burned over 250,000 calories, which was about 80 pounds. So I really think we did a good job. So this is some of the data that we collected before and after. This particular slide is about recovery, and recovery is so important because if you neglect it, it can lead to injuries. Just a few minutes every day can improve concentration, reduce stress, increase happiness, and all that is needed for a healthy mind, body, and spirit. So we obviously wanted to decrease the blue, which was 37%, and we did That's the people who said that they really weren't taking 10 to 15 minutes to recover. But if you look at the pie chart, we went from 15% to 24% of our employees said they now take 4 to 5 times during the work week for a few moments of silence. So that was a great slide. And this is probably one of my favorite slides. In the beginning, we surveyed everyone, and 31% of our employees said they did not exercise. At the end, the whole chart changed for the better. We are down to 1.9% of people surveyed that didn't exercise. So that was a huge, huge lead. And then all of our other numbers increased. So we were very happy with the participation. Another one, sleep is also so important. Not having the proper amount of sleep, you're less productive, you're less efficient, you're less alert. It can lead to higher absences. So we want our employees alert and engaged and ready for the day. So if you look at the blue, we went from 10% to 27% of our employees feel fully rested now. So there's always trials and triumphs when you start a new program. Technology is always up there. Matt and his team did a great job helping us work through some of the different programming and software things that we could use. Scheduling was really difficult because we had to find a time that we could get JoCo Fitness here, plus a time that we thought our employees could utilize. We have so many different departments and timing, so that's something that, that we'll work on. And then the liability and legal stuff, Mr. Young was able to help us get through some of that as well. So some of our triumphs was we had great participation. It helped, it was a great team builder. It started to create, again, that culture of wellness. We had positive feedback. A lot of times our employees were not aware of the facilities that they could utilize. So this was a great communication piece for that. Our employees are asking for more. And we said when we started on this journey that if we could impact one employee, that it was worth it. And I'm really excited to introduce you to Becky Bennett. Becky is a Cub Academy teacher at Northwood Elementary. And about the same time that our 6-week challenge rolled out, she was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. She immediately joined our challenge, and you can see Becky everywhere on the track, Jazzercise, CrossFit. She was all over social media. Well, by the end of our 6 weeks, she was controlled by diet and exercise. So this is what Becky has to say. Since the wellness program began, my blood sugar has been excellent. I have lost 16 pounds and I feel healthier than I have in years. I call the program a lifesaver. I'm so glad that Franklin Schools has provided this opportunity to employees. I have nothing but positive things to say about it, and I'm looking forward to using it for many days to come. So I think that speaks volumes about the program. Here are some other quotes. I won't read them all, just from the survey. Awesome, Franklin's the place to be. Can't wait for the next challenge. Again, going back to some of the unexpected outcomes, the community support was almost unbelievable. We are going to do a scavenger hunt, and everyone local downtown Franklin totally supported it. They put Get Moving Franklin on the marquee. All the businesses were very much involved. We had a rain out, so we couldn't do it, but it was really nice to see that Franklin was coming together. It became a family affair. Moms were taking their kids and walking while their kids were practicing, so kids were exposed to it. Student engagement, we had a lot of teachers involving their classes, and then there was this level of excitement, sorry, my tooth is messed up, that we weren't quite expecting. So what's next? We're going to follow the grading period. So we're going to offer 4 challenges next year, 6 to 8 weeks. We'll take a week off for incentives and then start back up again. We're going to do at least 1 building challenge. We're going to have our buildings compete. We think that'll be a really great motivator. We're going to do more lunch and learns. We'll continue on with the JoCo Fitness classes. And we're going to enhance our resources for employees' health and wellness. And this will be literature. We plan on sending out some emails and possibly having a Q&A, different types of things. We'll also continue to track participation, create that culture of wellness, and invest in our employees. I'll leave you with a quote from someone on the survey, and it says, "I love how all the different groups in our corporation can come together in a fun and healthy way a few days after school. It was fun to see the workouts with bus drivers, teachers, maintenance, and cafeteria staff." So thank you. Any questions?
Good work.
Really great work, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Mercer, follow that.
Well, I can't.
You got Debbie Downer over there. after
It is,
that.
Yeah.
this happens to be my favorite part of the presentation right here. I do this every year, just to give you some awareness of kind of what the budget cycle looks like as we move through. We've started on that. We will have a budget workshop on August the 14th. At that time, I'll kind of give you an overview of where I think we're at and what it looks like at that point. And then we'll have a public hearing on September 11th. And I think we miss fall break this year so that we can do a school board meeting in the normal cycle. Last 2 years, we've been out of kilter a little bit, but we'll be back on October the 9th to ask for adoption of the budget.
Good. Any questions? All right, we will move on to action items. The first one is textbook rental for 17-18 school year. Mrs. Nally?
I just realized that as I opened this up that I forgot to fix the kindergarten book rental. The very first item, the science health big book, we no longer use. So I need to remove that from the kindergarten book rental fee. So that will reduce that amount by $4.84. But all the others are the same as they were presented last month.
Do you have any questions?
Move for approval.
Are we doing just one at a time, like elementary? Are we doing these as three, the elementary, Custer Baker, and middle school all together as one item? Yes? Yes? Okay.
Okay, then I'll withdraw that. Was that all of them? Or are we going through more?
No, that was the only one that,
Okay.
that I need to change
Well, then-
Then you're-
from what was presented last month.
Okay, then move for approval.
Okay, I just want to make sure we were doing all three at once. Okay, very good. Any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. So we'll move on to the middle school and high school handbook. Mrs. Nally?
Yeah, no changes to what was presented last month as well.
So Mrs. Nally, can I ask just one thing on the athletic handbook? If-
Yes, sir.
Before that is published, if you could update the principal and the athletic director.
Absolutely. Good point.
All right. Any more questions? Your motion?
Motion for approval.
Okay, all right, I hear a motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. We will move on to the resolution for temporary loan. Mr. Mercer?
Twice a year, I come in front of you to ask for some assistance in allowing us to temporarily move dollars. There's actually two resolutions here. The first one to be approved, and it's much more mechanical than anything else to allow us not to be into zero balances. The first one is a resolution to provide temporary loan for our federal grants from the Rainy Day Fund. And so I would ask your approval to allow us to be able to do that as we approach the end of the fiscal year.
All right, hear a motion. Any other questions, comments? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Hearing none, that motion passes. We'll move on to the resolution to transfer appropriations.
Once again, this allows us to move dollars around as necessary to be able to end the fiscal year in a positive position. And so I'm asking your approval of the resolution to transfer appropriation as required.
Motion, any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, all in favor, motion passes. Next, internal controls plan.
I made mention of this in Friday notes. We were in front of you several months ago, passed a resolution which was an outline shell of an internal controls plan. This is much more the specifics of the plan. I will tell you that this allows us to become compliant. It is a work in progress. Dawn Waltz was scheduled to work with us on the internal controls plan as she became the executive director of our trust. Unfortunately, time didn't allow because that position consumed 100% of her time. So we have placed together what we believe at this moment brings us into compliance. We will continue to work on that. Stacy Palmer will move into that halftime internal controls position in the middle of July. So the likelihood is that we'll be back in front of you in the fall with a few tweaks to this document. This is the bulk of it, but we'll be adding to it as we go. So I'm here today to ask your approval on the internal controls plan to bring us into compliance with State Board of Accounts.
Move for approval.
Okay, any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mercer.
Thank you.
We will move on to discussion items, and we have textbook rental for the high school. Mrs. Malley?
Yes, so I bring before you the high school textbook rental. Nothing has changed from years past except science, which we were able to significantly reduce this year since we did not adopt science textbooks. So we also removed some online licensing fees and things from kids as well. You can find those changes on pages 14, 15, and 16. They're highlighted in yellow. The only one that has what we would refer to as a more normal price would be the earth science, because we did adopt for them because they had not had an adoption in 14 years.
Any questions? All right, we'll move on to Neola policies. First read, Dr. Clendenning.
The policies, Roman numeral 1 through 9, reflect either current law or language to get us in compliance with what was going on. Really nothing that's going to alter a lot of changes. So I would ask that you review those, and then if you have any questions in the July meeting, we can, before the second reading, we'll address those. But nothing out of the ordinary.
Great. Okay, thank you. We'll move on to board and administrative comments. Do we have any?
Yeah, I'd like to highlight Chandler McGahey, who was a graduating senior. He missed graduation as he was running in the state track meet. He did place 8th, and he has a new school record of 155 and some change. I don't know, like 0.47, I think, maybe. Anyway, so we would have brought him here tonight to recognize him, since he's a graduating senior and won't be here in August because he's going on to college. But unfortunately, he had to work. So I just wanted to highlight his success. Also a very good student, and so I'm sure he's probably one of those students that Mr. Lamb highlighted. So we just want to say congratulations to him, and it's definitely bittersweet when you have to miss graduation, but I think it's a good reason. And next year it'll be the girls' turn, so if we have state qualifiers for girls, they'll miss graduation, it looks like, as we move forward.
Move on to the calendar.
Yep. Look at your calendars, please, for July 13th. That's a Thursday, I think it is, as the date that works for the admin team. As we look at that, and remember that one's going to be looking at kind of the goals and financial perspective for us. So we don't have to know tonight, but if you can just send an email and let Natalie and I know, that'd be great.
Is that a full day, half day?
It's probably going to be a full day since we did miss. We weren't able to do the one on Friday. We have a couple of things that we were going to do Friday that I'll incorporate into that. So I would say probably about 8:30 to about 2:30 or 3. We will have a working lunch as well.
Are we going to do it here? At the
I think we're going to the same place that we went last year. Right now, we're looking at going to Sweetwater to Mr. Ollinger's Lake House. He's provided that opportunity again. If we do it here, we're going to go to the barn on Hurricane Road. So those are our two options. So if it's easier for you to stay here in town, we can stay here in town. That's not a problem. And Jenny Mallory will help us with that. That's where we're going to go before. So.
All right, thank you. Now we'll move on to public comments. Do we have any? All right, seeing none,
Move for approval.
move for approval or
I'm
adjournment?
sorry, move to adjourn.
Okay. Okay,
You're
there
gonna listen to what I mean instead of what I
Well, I
say.
knew what you meant, but, all right, thank you all for coming.